Book fam, we're back. How's everybody doing today? My name's Frank Reynolds and welcome to the first episode in a few months of Is It Worth It? Where I review books across all genres and let you know which are worth your time. Been a little while since we did one of these. Just some stuff going on in life, finishing up my master's degree, been doing a lot of writing, started a new job. Just haven't really had the time to sit down and do these, but hoping to make things more regular now. No doubt about it. A lot of great reading has been done over the last couple of months, and there's a couple of books on my radar that I certainly want to talk about as well. Also some good movies coming out that I want to talk about on the channel. So really hoping to make this more of a bi-weekly type thing. Coming up the next month, I'll try to play a little catch up, get you one every week. But that's neither here nor there, because today we are talking about a really popular novel released this year called The Push by Ashley Adoran, and it is a psychological thriller that really dives into the struggles people don't talk about regarding parenthood. It's a really unique story that we haven't seen done before, or at least I haven't seen it done before, and I was just disappointed in how it turned out. Before I get to the negatives, I do want to talk about what's good about this book and who it might be for, because there is certainly a story here for certain readers that they will absolutely love. For starters, if you like good endings, this has a great ending. It's somewhat expected, but it's really satisfying in that it leaves some stuff up in the air or for interpretation, but also satisfyingly concludes the story. I mean, the final 75 pages of the book are by a mile the best 75 pages. I mean, they're not perfect, more on that in a little bit, but I mean, they move with a relentless speed. It keeps you turning the pages. It's a literal page turner in that sense. You just want to get to the end, find out what happens, and the very ending, it's disturbing, intriguing. There's a whole lot to like about the way that Adoran ended this story. And I give her major props for being able to kind of tie everything together in a way, like I said, that's up for interpretation, but that also satisfies the reader. Another thing the author does really well that I find some authors lack in this specific genre is balancing internal monologuing and reminiscing with present and past action and dialogue. I never felt out of place in this book, which is saying something given how there are multiple stories taking place in multiple timelines here. I didn't think that the setting and the characters were necessarily painted in extraordinary detail, but still the author is able to kind of offer this balance that allows us to empathize and process rather than work to understand what's happening here. Really difficult thing to do, especially in psychological thrillers, and especially when you're trying to do something new in that genre. I think we've talked about it before on this channel. A lot of psychological thrillers rinse and repeat. A lot of tropes that come with that, type of thriller fiction. And this tries to offer a new take, and it does it in a way that doesn't make the reader work too hard to figure out what's going on here. So that was really nice. I'm also not a father or mother, so I can't pretend that I had the same experience reading this book that people with children will. A lot of parents have loved this book because it kind of talks about the brutal nature of being a parent. And I'm not talking about like changing the diapers and the late nights, late sleepless nights and stuff like that. I'm talking about the mental thoughts that parents apparently have. Some, that are darker than you might expect, things that are never talked about openly. This book explores those, aspects of parenthood, specifically related to, whether your child likes you or not, and whether you think your child's like a little messed up. Again, stuff that's not really talked about openly, but things that a lot of parents experience. The book is shameless in the way that it, goes through these aspects here, and that is a brave step to do in a story. It's done really well. I can't, again, pretend to say that I had the same experience reading this that a parent might, and it might be more for you if you have a child. it's a lot of cool stuff going on here. It's very interesting. It's very unique. And I think that's why I was just really disappointed that it didn't quite stick for me. One of my biggest issues with the book is the pacing. It's so slow for the first half of the novel, and the last third is just so fast. It really only ever works before, during, and after the inciting incident, which doesn't even take place until more than halfway through the book. Before that and after that, things are pretty messy. You know, I said that the last 75 pages are the best parts of the story. This is true, but that doesn't mean it doesn't move too fast. It's entertaining, it's electric actually, but it doesn't make it great. Same with the beginning of the book. Like there's a lot of build up to help us try to get a good understanding of our protagonist and, you know, where she stands in life and why she feels the way that she does. But it's just kind of boring. She's also not that likable. So when you consider both of those, you know, aspects of storytelling, it was tough to get into this one. I kept pushing through because I'd heard such great things about it. And, you know, it's a long build up. Also, there's a huge tonal shift in this story once things do pick up toward that last third of the book. It's really unexpected. It's really visceral. I just didn't think it was done the right way. There's also a couple of, you know, flashback sequences here. I mentioned that there's a few different timelines taking, you know, part in this story. But they're too far scattered apart that during the flashbacks, I actually was spending more time trying to remember what happened last time we were there, you know, who these characters were, why I need to care about them, than actually, you know, feeling engrossed in the story. And it just was kind of useless to me. I mean, it makes sense. I get why they're in the story, but just there was no impact because my thoughts were elsewhere while reading them. Again, just a pacing issue. It was just another pacing issue with the book. I said also the protagonist isn't very likable. It's not that she's not likable. That her and her husband are actually pretty relatable as people. It's just that they're not very interesting. The most interesting character in the book doesn't show up until that back third that I mentioned, which is not great. The best character in the book is in it for less than 100 pages. So take that as you will. You know, all in all, I just found the book boring. And when it finally got going, it was just too late to reel me in. It should be great. It's unique. It's really unique. It's something we've never seen before. The concept is brilliant. It's executed really well at certain areas, and there are portions of the story that are page turners in the way that thrillers are supposed to be. It's daring. It's going to rub certain people the wrong way. It's going to disturb a lot of parents out there, probably people who aren't even parents. I mean, I was disturbed and I'm not a parent. It just didn't hook me the way it was meant to hook me. Not until too much time had passed anyway. The ending works really well, but the method by which we get there, it's messy. I don't know, maybe parents are gonna see this book in a different light. It probably will. Like I said, it might be for them. It might also be for people who just really love thrillers. They really just enjoy them and they want something new. I mean, that's what you are gonna get with The Push. But I don't know, it just wasn't worth it for me. I gave this on the worthy meter, a 57 out of 100, and a lot of that score comes from its uniqueness and the way that it's able to kind of wrap things up nicely with a good ending, but there's just too much here that doesn't work for me to recommend this story to, you know, people looking for their next great read. Thanks so much for joining me today, guys. A lot of books are incoming here on the channel. We are officially back, and I'm excited. I'm pumped to get back into this. We're gonna try to keep these a little bit shorter than we did before. You know, I used to kind of shoot for that under 15-minute range, and while that still will be the case at times, I'm going for more like sub 10 here. Hopefully that makes it a little bit of an easier watch, something quick on the go that you can digest to find the next great book for you. I mean, it's fall season. It's time to sit outside, read some books, and, you know, have a good time with a solid page turner. So I'm here to help you find that. Next week, I mean, it's fall season. That means it's Halloween season, and we got to talk about some horror reads. We are going to break down one of the biggest horror novels of the last 5 years, Kill Creek. Really excited to talk about it with you guys. That will be next week for you. Join me then. Stay safe and obviously do some reading here. I hope you've been doing it over these last couple of months, and we'll see you then. Have a good one. Thanks. Oh, also like the channel, subscribe, do all that good stuff for me if you could. Obviously helps out a lot, and just makes these things even more worthwhile. So thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate your support, and I'll see you next time.